And for this review, I'm going full-on French spy. Femme Nikita is directed by Luc Besson and stars Anne Parillaud, Jean-Hugues and Cecchi. The film opens by allowing us to follow a gang of ruthless thugs as they rob a pharmacy. Amongst them is a junkie named Nikita, rebellious, wild, defiant, and myself not wanting to spoil anything for you, we'll just say she commits a crime and is appropriately sentenced to life imprisonment. But then, like so many things in this film, events take an unexpected turn. Believing she has caught a ticket to an early execution, instead her death is faked, and Nikita awakes in a facility where she is given a choice to either die or be reborn as a government assassin. Now, going into this film, as an intense lover of movies, I had heard of Nikita many times before, though I had also avoided discussing it with others. So, as time has gone on, I've just learned to trust my instincts on this kind of thing, so whenever I discover a new movie, what I might do is seek out some trusted reviewers who I know aren't going to spoil things for me, and then I might peruse IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes because they're nice guides to have on hand. Then, if I'm inclined enough, I'll go ahead and I'll watch the movie and I'll develop my own conclusions. But afterwards, I like to seek out other opinions to hear what they have to say, to see if I might have missed something, or to see if another perspective might enhance how I perceive the film. As a critic speaking to an audience, you guys, my only desire is to help enhance or inform your decision to watch. But if you're ever in doubt about something I say, I encourage you to trust your own instincts, and do yourself a favor, don't let random internet opinions sway how you feel about something. The only one who should decide whether you like something is you. Now, regarding my own experiences with Nikita, well, I knew that there was a TV spin-off series, and I knew that there was an American remake of the film. I also knew that this was a slightly polarizing movie with somewhat varied interpretations by its viewers. And I had a vague understanding of the story. I mean, I knew it was about a sort of nobody who commits a crime and becomes an assassin, but that was virtually all I knew going into this. Now, having seen it, what do I think? I love this movie. From the first shot through the opening sequence, I was hooked by this neo-noir style lighting and by the dazzling cinematography this film offers. In so many shots in this film, it tells a story through its warm and cool lighting, and how it and the camera work is arranged here feels meticulously orchestrated to pull the eyes of the audience. There are also dozens of moments and scenes that look beautifully iconic. Where this film truly thrives, however, is in the thoughtful characterization of its lead players. It's instantly intriguing and as unhinged as its title character. Every time this film looked in danger of falling into a film trope trap, or repeating those action thriller patterns where you can start to see where the film is headed, it instead did something completely different. If I was expecting it to take a steady left, it instead took a hard right. And to be honest, I'm not really surprised much by movies anymore, and like many others, I've grown more accustomed to just appreciating the craft. But I can honestly say that this film kept me genuinely intrigued with the story as it went along. Even in the second act, when it slows down and changes pace, it still kept me guessing and held my attention. And it holds this approach through the duration of the film, and I was just so pleased and impressed to see that. I will say that this is a very unconventional action thriller. Don't go into this expecting full-on guns blazing. This is a lot more character-driven and much more geared towards examination than giving rushes of adrenaline. Where there is action, though, it is fearless and well executed. All of the lead actors do an excellent job as well. Anne Parillaud's transformation from junkie to femme fatale is jaw-dropping. But she manages to keep her character alive and intact also, which is quite impressive. And maybe it's just because I've been preparing for its review, and given my wife's feelings on the matter, I hesitate to make the comparison. But I would liken this transformation to that of the one experienced by Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Julia. You perceive these two women one way at first, and then they transform, but both maintain that inner part of their personality that distinguishes them.
Did you enjoy the opera, dear? Oh, it was so good I almost peed my pants.
In Nikita's case, this maintains our connection with her, and gratefully, this film doesn't go to the point where she becomes unrecognizable to us as a character, even though she has undergone such a drastic change. And I think people who have certain interpretations of this film may have missed that, and I want to address it more closer to the end of this review. Jeanne Moreau as her stylist was also absolutely captivating. Her scenes, while brief, were some of, if not my favorite scenes in the entire movie. The way that she teaches Nikita to embrace these very unique qualities of womanhood, and the way she delivers each line with this aged but silky tone was just mesmerizing. Jean-Hugues Anglade mostly plays a pretty by-the-numbers sort of character who eventually becomes Nikita's love interest, and while subdued, he still does do a good job. I felt that the angle of having him being clearly suspicious of Nikita while still being accepting nonetheless was actually a really clever take on his character, and they did a good job of making that feel natural. Then there's Cecchi, who was amazing. Every scene this guy steps into, you peel back yet another layer of his character, and as you see him develop, you're constantly wondering what his true intentions are. And I thought his collected demeanor really worked, but as you see how Nikita brings out those chinks in his armor as the movie progresses, I was just quite taken by his performance.
Clearly.
Jean Reno also makes what I would call a guest appearance in this film, but when I saw him, I had to do a fist pump because I love watching this guy act. Mission Impossible, Leon the Professional, the guy is just a great actor, and I just loved seeing him in action here again. Now, the only area that I can really mark as a flaw in this film is that it does kind of have a strange pacing from time to time. Now, I can honestly see some people being intrigued by this and maybe even marking it as a plus, because this is a sort of spontaneous kind of movie, but from time to time, particularly in the second half, some of these changes were just a little bit too abrupt, and they really just didn't do anything for me. On that note, I will also let you know that the ending too is very abrupt, though I don't actually fault the film for this, because I feel like the ending actually fits very well with the rest of the movie. It's more of the transitions from different scenes and some of the situations and how they're lined up. They're just a little bit too jarring. Now, I said earlier that I would revisit the interpretation of Nikita that I felt like a lot of people had misunderstood. Based on the more negative reviews of this movie, I feel like a lot of people expected this to be more about a woman who is entirely transformed into an assassin and thus behaves as one. Or at least how we expect them to in the movies. I mean, come on, how many of us really know how an assassin is supposed to act?
Personality goes the wrong way.
But watching this movie carefully, what I feel was honestly quite clearly being shown was that this second chance wasn't the life this woman was hoping for. If anything, it's more of a prison than her life before. So understandably, she hates what she does and despises the constant reminder that she's dancing by their strings. And in Pario's performance, we see that deep down, she's still the rebellious free spirit she always was, always longing for a way out. Does she find it? Well, you'll just have to watch it and find out. La Femme Nikita is rated R for language, brief nudity, and violence, including one very grisly and disturbing death scene involving the use of acid. Having come out originally in 1990 and released in the States in 91, I'm amazed to say Nikita is one of the most shocking films I've viewed in a long time. It was completely unconventional, and despite what I knew about it going in, kept me guessing until the very end. Where action thrillers tend to rely on explosions and gunfights, this film instead leaned on characters that were fleshed out, imperfect, even off-putting, and yet still remain compelling. While there are some pacing issues that may negatively impact some, like myself, others may find this noteworthy and worth embracing. And I for one won't argue the point. I found this movie to be a welcome surprise, and now having seen it myself, I can fully understand why it's warranted such praise and emulation over the years. I am giving La Femme Nikita a 4.5 out of 5.
Nikita.
Guys, thank you so much again for watching. Do you know any other good movies that break convention that you'd like to maybe see me review on this channel at some point? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd be very happy to check those out. As always, stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You are on Real Time with Joe. Honestly, you're doing great. Like, it looks great. Oh, you blew it out. There you go.